Three. What's up, everybody? This is Micah from Tavern Geek, and tonight we're having our very first episode of Tavern Talk, where we run our mouths about the NBA on this certain episode. And with me tonight, I have a couple of really cool dudes. In one corner, I have who we're going to call the Zak Attack. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I like it. Nothing, just chilling, putting the kids to sleep, talking about basketball.
Heck yeah.
Hanging out. That's how we do it.
Heck yeah. And then in my other corner, I have a good friend of mine, and his name is Derek, but we'll call him D. Just D.
Yo, what up, fellas?
I like it.
And what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Just ready to kick off these Christmas basketball games when they come on in a couple weeks. Just watching a little preseason here.
Heck yeah. I'm feeling you. So, as always, when we do this show, I talk about the craft beer I'm enjoying and wanting to support the local craft breweries. They're having a really hard time, and that's kind of the basis of being on podcasts and YouTube and stuff, and throwing out these guys and letting you guys see wonderful beer they're making out there. So tonight I am drinking a Hazy Imperial IPA from a brewery called Adroit Theory, and they are located outside of Winchester, Virginia in Purcellville. And they're really awesome, really great beer, and can art is the crow. And all of the art on the cans at this brewery are done by artists. And so everything's drawn, and it's pretty cool. So, all right. So tonight, it's 10 p.m. or now it's probably like 10:30 or something.
It's like 10:34, something like that.
10:34.
Also, I'd like to state that I'm staying hydrated.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to let you guys, I drink wonderful IPAs, and Zak has Zak water.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as the juice.
That's my thing.
Yeah. It's almost good as this juice Michael Jordan put in the water bottles in Space Jam.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Derek, are you enjoying any type of beverage tonight?
Just Mexican cola.
Yes. Mexican cola is the best. So much sugar.
Dude, I had a Crush slushy tonight. It was pretty amazing.
What was it?
I haven't had one in a while. A Crush slushy.
Crush? Like Orange Crush?
Cherry Crush. It was so good.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I sucked it down. Grayson sucked down a whole bunch of it. But anyway, yeah, it was amazing.
I remember when I was a little kid, my grandma was taking me to a baseball game. One of my it was when we had the pitching machines, so it was like minor league, I think was what we called it. I don't know what they call it around here, but she gave me 3 or 4 of those Crushes, handed them to me, and I was just chugging them in her car on the way to the baseball game, and I was so jacked up I was jumping around in the dugout and running all over the place.
You always consume way too much sugar as a kid.
Yeah. But that's the fun, I guess, of it. So tonight we're going to talk about just what's going on right now in the NBA. We're going to talk about some rosters, especially all the changes that happened in a very, very short time since our first experience of an NBA bubble. And we're going to talk about, what the season may bring for some of these teams, and kind of what players are going to merge out of it. And then later on in the show, we're going to randomly pick a classic player, which is any player before now. And we're going to put them up one-on-one against a player of their position in the current NBA.
When is now?
Now, like if they
literally
don't play
anybody
anymore.
like in the current. Okay.
Yeah. So like if they don't play anymore, like put them up against, them in their prime versus somebody now, like in their prime. Or you could say, like LeBron now, 35-year-old LeBron or 36-year-old LeBron. Is he 35 or 36?
I think he's 36.
He's about to be 36 on the
Okay.
30th of December.
Wow. He's got it. He's like, I know LeBron's birthday, y'all.
Right.
Y'all suck.
I was going to say, I'm going to do really well with all the specific information. I'm just going to be here to stir stuff up.
All right. So,
we're going.
yeah, so you pick LeBron now and put him up against, like Scottie Pippen or something. Like, just, but yeah. But yeah, so let's get into it. So a lot of roster changes over this free agency period, and we had the NBA draft, and so these teams got to draft some pretty cool guys. Derek, what do you think, man? What team do you think made it out of free agency and the draft like the best, like in your opinion?
So speaking of free agency, I'm watching this preseason game here, Clippers versus Lakers, and what seems very odd about this game was watching. I think Montrezl Harrell, when I caught it, had a dunk. Seeing him in a Lakers uniform, that all white, just playing against the Clippers, it looks different.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's ready to take that role of I'm coming in here. They won a championship. I want to help them win another one for them and for myself, and to prove to the Clippers that we had what it took last year to be in a position or a better position than where they ended to win the championship. Obviously, they took an early exit, earlier than what most would have predicted.
I mean, everybody.
Yeah, that was wild, man. But I'll tell you what, that series, man, Jamal Murray was a beast.
Jamal Murray's momentum just carried from that previous series against Donovan Mitchell. I think either one of those guys going against the Clippers in that next round, was going to give their team a tremendous boost of confidence. But, obviously with Jamal Murray looking like the best player, you can't forget that he had Jokic as well. So going against the Clippers with, an A+ potential of Jamal Murray against Jokic being Jokic, that gives you, two monsters there that was ready to put up, some crazy numbers. And with the team's depth and Michael Malone's coaching, it worked in their favor. And, it's going to, for them, give them a huge boost of confidence for this season. I mean, outside of Jeremy Grant moving on, which he went to Detroit, you have all the younger guys and the bench guys just improving. Michael Porter Jr. looks like he's most likely going to be starting from what we see in the reports. So he's definitely taking one of the forward spots. I would probably say around the small forward, but Will Barton should make a return. PJ Dozier's still there, so he's going to be good quality off the bench. Still have Monte Morris, so they got a lot of weapons there to work with. So I don't know if we'd be surprised to see them in the conference final or not again. If there's another matchup between them and the Clippers in the playoffs, then you can kind of almost say, well, either one of them should make it out of that round. Looking at it from right now, in my opinion.
Well, on that note of the Clippers, real quick, something just popped in my head, like we're talking about rosters and what it looks like right now. Like I really think, and I don't think these trades were bad for the Clippers, but because I'm a big fan of Luke Kennard, But it was kind of strange, man, like that they just dumped Landry Shamet like that, because I think Landry Shamet is a baller, man. He's a
I mean, he
dog, man.
stepped up big.
Yeah, he can shoot the ball, man. He's 3-and-D, like, and he's going to turn into one of the better 3-and-D players in the league eventually. But sending him to the Nets, man, just gave, and we'll talk about Brooklyn obviously eventually, but I think that really gave Brooklyn a huge pickup. But Kennard he's a scorer. Like, he can score the heck out of the basketball. So that may have been what they needed and he can take over a game if he needs to. So it's like, that's the type of player that they needed in that in that backup shooting guard slot behind Paul George. Like, Paul George gets the bubble funk again, then they can throw Luke Kennard out there.
He's confident that he's not.
Well, I like to
said
shout out
he's ready to be on people.
I'd like to shout out the Blue Devils. I'm a Duke fan, but
Okay.
what you were saying about Luke Kennard there, it's like, the JJ Redick type of player coming out of college, where that scoring threat is definitely there. Maybe not a multi-dimensional player, but what you're saying with him having that ability to take over in situations down the line where you have a spot up shooter, kind of reminds me of that coming of a JJ Redick type of player, where you specialize in that. And Shamet going to Brooklyn hopefully gives him a good chance of development, unless we see him in another trade package down the road where they're trying to, off the wall thinking trading for James Harden once more or something, where Shamet's in there, or Karis LeVert, or Spencer Dinwiddie.
I think all that's bullshit. He's not going anywhere.
To Harden?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that, Zach?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wants out. He did turn down $103 million, but I don't know.
It's a weird situation. Yeah.
I feel like the price is too high for anybody to pay at this point, really. I mean,
yeah.
But anyway.
I think the teams he's asking to go for obviously are contender teams, but if you're the Rockets as a franchise, obviously you're going to want good players back, and you're going to want to regain a lot of what you lost through the last couple of trades of getting Chris Paul, getting Russell Westbrook. You're talking about future assets, especially if you're not going to have your superstar, still in his prime, not being there for the next couple of years until you find somebody else. That you've just given up a lot. So
yeah.
I'm pumped about Wall, though, man. I think that he's really going to step up this year. I think he, coming out of Washington, for sure, he's ready to show that he's still good to go. From the videos that I've seen, he's changed his game. He's a more a smarter player, I guess. Like before, he was just more kind of get to the hole. Now it's more, planned out, I guess. Plus, just watching interviews of him talking and stuff too.
Yeah, that's a good point. John Wall is definitely something we need to talk about tonight. But I want to get back to the real quick. Like Derek was saying, the original question, I was asking him like the biggest, upgrade, and he was talking about Harrell. So why do you think did I say his name, Montrez? Is that it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Why do you think that you said you were watching them play against the Clippers and stuff like that, and you had this overall feeling of how his personality, his person and his character is going to mature like vastly this season. But what does Harrell do for the Lakers?
I think Harrell brings that energy, where if we watched last year with the Lakers in the playoffs, and, Dwight Howard, he played a big role, I think, emotionally with them, as far as them, carrying that identity of, we're hungry to get the wins. We're all in this together to do whatever it takes, whether I'm on the bench or on the court. And I think Montrez brings that obviously on a deeper level, because he's more of a quality starter nowadays compared to Dwight Howard, how dominant he used to be, but how the league's changed and, away from his old style of play. So, I think Montrez keeps that, and I think his progress as a player from going from Houston being traded to the Clippers to a team that were definitely considered underdogs there, and where he earned his value as a player in the league to show people like, hey, I'm built for this league. I'm made to win on a winning team. And then just that ugly, failure last year. If they made it to the conference finals and lost, we'd talk about that like, okay, this happened or that happened, but to lose the round before, makes it look ugly. So I think, now he's ready to
one and lost, but to go three.
Right. And the fashion, like you're saying, to lose the way they lost, and then to lose that last game where, you're talking about the two prominent players on your team scoring, 2 points in the second half combined?
The ball.
So he knows, he knows his role that, hey, I'm not one of those two prominent guys that come out here and just ball dominate. I do what I can. I play a role, but I'm here to support. And I supported this, and we didn't get the results. Like, hey, I showed up. I felt like something else happened where, the other people didn't show up. So now he can prove his value on the Lakers team. Yes, they are defending the title, but they've, restructured some pieces here and there. So it kind of gives him that value of, hey, I know y'all have won, but I can help win another title with you, to where this title is separated from the last title because I'm a part of this and I have a big impact. So yeah, I think he still brings that big personality that, hey, I'm not a distraction from AD or LeBron, obviously, but, Dwight Howard's gone. I'm good off the bench. I'm good on the floor. I'm good playing along the starters or the bench players that, he's hungry, obviously. He did this for a reason. I'm sure he could have got a lot more money, or obviously just stayed with the Clippers and had the same role. But
I think
something there that's driving him.
Though. Like, that shocked a lot of people.
It did.
But, I mean, I feel like it was a smart move,
Yeah.
Taking it back.
Like you were saying, well, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was gonna say, it's like, when you were comparing him to Dwight Howard, it's like that, but he can shoot. I mean, all that energy plus the fact that you put the ball in his hands, and I think that he could have been considered arguably the most consistent player besides, Lou Williams on the Clippers for, long time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And for me, what this kind of reminiscence for me as far as what the Lakers did this year, of course, they didn't really add like any superstar players, but it kind of reminds me of the, let me see, I think if I referred right, the 03, 04 Lakers, where you remember Karl Malone and Gary Payton joining.
Yeah.
Of course, they were more seasoned players as far as what they had achieved in the earlier years, as far as making it to the finals, or Karl Malone with his back-to-back MVPs in the past. But kind of in that way, like, hey, y'all already have like a squad where your main core is still together and y'all are winning, a plethora of games. Let me kind of get in here and play my role. Not that you're trying to join the bandwagon in the sense of I'm going to sit here and do nothing, but kind of in the way like, hey, you lost the last one, or you're winning. Can I get it back in there and try to help you and be effective to keep the momentum going? Because, feel like great teams, what they try to do is switch it up here and there, where the following year, yeah, you might have won with that team last year, but you're not the only one that is going to change. So, players on other teams are going to evolve, or other teams and GMs are going to make trades. So, you got to stay hungry. So I think this pickup by the Lakers, keeps that extra motivation of, don't let your guard down. Like, keep it going.
Well,
we got a new team, so clean slate.
Yeah, it definitely. I feel like that the Lakers team last year the reason why they were so good, honestly, obviously, is because of LeBron and AD together, because that is a crazy duo to put on any team. But and they had that like push from Rondo, you know what I mean? And like in the playoffs and going into the finals, Rondo really, kind of pushed them. And I think once they saw that Rondo was leaning towards other teams, because that's what happens. Veterans go to a team that needs a championship. They go and they win the championship. And then certain veterans that shine and show they still got stuff to give, they become valuable at that point for other teams like Atlanta when they picked him up. Like, that's huge for Atlanta. Like, Rondo is going to be such a great leader on that team and help, develop Trae Young into, who knows what his mentorship is going to do for him. So, but losing Rondo, left the Lakers at a point where they don't have that guy coming off that bench, to keep the hype, because, really honestly, Kyle Kuzma should be doing that because he should be the sixth man. And I know they played him a lot in that 6-man role last year. But he totally, he just, I don't know what it was about him. And, it was disappointing for a lot of us who enjoyed him in his first couple of seasons in the league. But honestly, Harold will come in there, and that is where he is going to shine. And he'll be, again, I think with the Lakers, he'll be, in the running for sixth man of the year. He's not my pick for it, but I think he's in the run, to get that again. And it's tough because he's my second pick for, sixth man of the year again. But yeah, that's I think the biggest gain that the Lakers got out of free agency was him, because he's just going to bring so much hype to a team that's got so much talent right now. So, but yeah. So Wall, yeah, we were talking about John Wall. So Zach, how do you feel like John Wall, like with Houston, like this is a whole new thing for him. He's coming from a city where he was the dude. You go up to the man, and me and you went up there to a Wizards game last year, and John Wall was painted all over the arena. Like, I know the times I've been up in DC and been on the Metro or been to Tyson's Corner, shopping mall or whatnot. You can't go very far without seeing a poster of John Wall. Like, no, he was there. Sure. Like, he was the dude. So, and they swapped him out for Westbrook. But like, what does John Wall do for the Rockets? What does he do for the city of Houston in this situation? What do you think?
I don't know. I think obviously he's super explosive, dynamic player, can score anywhere, shoot the ball. He's super athletic, explosive. Very comparable to Westbrook, but in my opinion, I would say they could shoot the ball better. But I guess the reality is we haven't seen that happen in 20 months, 22 months.
Yeah.
Other than not in real competition anyway. But I don't know. Plus, him and Boogie back together, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Wildcats.
And, that's another thing, too. I think both of them are ready to prove something, that they still got it. And if that's the case, and Harden's – I think it's all still willing, whatever Harden wants to do.
That's true. Harden is
he's going to have to let something go. It showed that with CP3. It showed that with Westbrook. More with Westbrook, in my opinion. But because CP3 is he's a smart player. Not that Westbrook's not a smart player, but I don't know.
CP3.
But anyway.
CP3 is one of these players that, if he's with the right group of guys, is just phenomenal, just a phenomenal dude. And it's not that he was bad and he not right with Houston. He was absolutely amazing. He was the best part of that team. Those teams that team they had that year. that they went to the conference finals. Yeah. But this was in the back of my head. But Derek, what do you think? What do you think with Houston right now and James Harden, and John Wall, Boogie Cousins, obviously Christian Wood's there too. I really like him. He's pretty good. With what they've put together, since the trading of Westbrook and all the drama and everything, and then just kind of where Harden is as a person and how he's been acting out and what we've been seeing, as fans. Where do you think they're going?
I think that's I think they have a lot of options there. Of course, we're wanting to hear or see something happen. Obviously, we live where things happen instantaneous, whether it be social media or not. But, Houston, it's still business, and they have some time to work out a situation that works in their best interest as far as trying to gain more from, holding out now versus, pulling the trigger now just because he's, showing signs of wanting to get out and verbally saying that he wants to be traded. He has a contract. I believe he still has 2 years guaranteed. Like Zach said, he declined the extension that would add on to that. But, you're talking 2 years. That's, 2 full seasons before he's an actual free agent that he can just, be there. Not saying I want to see another Anthony Davis situation, but, what's to stop that from being a situation of Anthony Davis if the Rockets choose so? As far as
I feel like it is a situation though now. I mean, like Bledsoe did it too.
Right. And then, with AD doing what he did, he was in the last year of his contract or coming up on the last year of his contract the following year. So it would be similar to that where, okay, you have 2 years on your contract, the current one and the next one. But, you're holding out to see, what happens in your future. But as far as what the Rockets have around them with, Christian Wood, John Wall, and Cousins, this could be big for Cousins. It might open some usage value for him to get back on track to kind of have value in the league back close, even if it's half or 75% of what he used to be, just to be on the court and be productive, that would help him tremendously. But yeah, I think the Rockets just obviously have the future to think about as far as the depth of assets. It pretty much ends at James Harden. So, don't sell him short, and then don't, if you still want to be competitive, you definitely probably want to trade him east. Don't kind of shoot yourself in the foot type of situation. But
I mean, I don't know where he could land in the West where, honestly, what team he could end up landing on that could make a huge, huge jump? That would be San Antonio.
San Antonio would keep him in Texas. And
I mean, you're not really replacing anybody there. DeRozan can still do his thing if he stays there.
You couldn't have DeRozan and Harden on the same team. DeRozan would be in that trade.
He most likely probably would be in that trade. I guess
that's true. Did he just sign an extension?
Yeah, and that would put DeRozan on a team with Wall and Cousins, and it almost kind of meshes a little bit better.
I mean, that would be –
but they're not a contender. Like with Harden, they are a contender, period.
But if Wall is old Wall, are they a contender?
They may be a playoff.
I would say I don't know though, man. If he came back to the way that he was before he got injured.
Yeah, but he wasn't no MVP.
It's not the same as Harden.
Harden's the MVP, man. It's just nobody scored.
Can you imagine if they did that trade and he ended up going to Golden State?
Oh my God, man.
That would be insane.
Oh my God, I'd be like, LeBron would get this if that happened. He'd be like, you see him like on Instagram, like doing thousands of push-ups, and then
it would be
Dragon songs, doing more push-ups. more Imagine Dragons, more push-ups, more commercials.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he puts out his own T-shirt. You remember in Cleveland when he put out whatever it takes T-shirt line the year he was the only. Kevin Love was hurt most of the season, so he was like, Kyrie was gone. He was like, whatever it takes. And he still got to the finals. It's LeBron, but yeah, he'd be like,
he's a beast.
Harden's with Curry now. But I don't think.
That would be.
Oh man, it'd be nothing but threes. What's the point? Shoot praise. It'd be Klay Thompson on the sideline being like, Yo, James, you shoot the tray? Yeah, Klay, I shot the tray. Oh man, you shot the tray, didn't you? Yeah, I shot the tray. Steph, you shoot the tray? I shoot the tray. All right, man. James Wiseman, you shoot the tray. Man, y'all don't ever get the ball. Y'all always want me to kick it back out. That's the way it be, man. But anyway, yeah. John Wall though, with the Rockets, and we're talking about what if John Wall gets back to that place where he was at before he got hurt, where the Wizards were a pretty good team in the East as far as playoffs go. I think if Wall and Bill had Bill was kind of developing at the time period into what he is now, and they didn't really have anybody else. I mean, Otto Porter was okay, but obviously if Wall would have been on another team, with some help, yeah, he probably could have helped push a team, in the East at that time period to a conference finals or a finals. But if he and James Harden work out, though, Zach, what do you think? Zach's vanished from us tonight. Derek.
Yo.
What do you think? How is Zach? Oh, there he is. Never mind. He had to get some new – oh, man. He's like glowing. Look at the light.
Yeah, no, am I muffled?
A little bit, but you're all right.
I don't know which side or something.
Yeah, you sound really muffled, man.
Right. Can you hear me now?
It's a little muffled. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zak Attack. This is what happens when you drink lots of Zak water. You vanish from the show. Anyway, Derek, while Zach's figuring that out, like, if Wall and Harden are able to work together in a really good way, actually, let me ask you this: Harden and CP3 were one way. Like, what could Wall and Harden be?
Okay, before I guess I expand on that as far as what they could be, let's just take a look over the last several NBA seasons of what the Rockets have done. What differently over the seasons did they actually do? They just swapped out the main guy to Harden. Harden is the guy. You're swapping in somebody to play alongside of him, while he is still actually a one-man show type of guy. CP3 did very well because he is one of the true definitions of a floor general, where he literally makes every player on the court that is on his team in the same jersey a better player. He gets them into the position they need to be and delivers that pass or makes them effective. Great pick and roller, whether it be the pass off the pick and roll or the shot or even a lob threat. Just that awareness of him to have everybody involved even when they're not. But as far as, what the Rockets done this year, obviously trading for John Wall is just the same thing they've always done. They just needed to get rid of Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. You traded him away, and now you're wanting something in return because he doesn't want to be there. It didn't work. He knows it didn't work. He wants to get out. But on the other hand, with them picking up Christian Wood, that's bringing back a versatile big, something they didn't have with Clint Capella, and something that PJ Tucker isn't, as far as that type of versatility of playmaking. Now, of course, PJ Tucker is a small size player if he's playing center. Obviously can play in that position for the purpose of small ball. But I do kind of like what they did outside of that Russell Westbrook, John Wall trade and getting Christian Wood and then getting a rehabbing Cousins. So you're going back to more so of away from the D'Antoni system. Like, okay, if you're not believing in the D'Antoni system, obviously D'Antoni didn't believe in using that system anymore for the Rockets because he bailed before, any chance of being fired or anything like that. So he didn't want to do the extension and cycle back through this again. So,
but before I just off the top of my head, Steven Silas, that's the coach of the Rockets now. I don't know a whole lot about him. Where did he come from?
I believe Silas might have been somewhere in the office as far as, maybe an assistant, I think.
Was he a Spurs assistant at one time?
I have to backtrack the facts. I can't remember for sure. I know his father, Paul Silas, I think, was an NBA coach as well.
Yeah, coach and player for the Celtics.
But I think Silas might be one of those players. He might have been on the Spurs as far as assistant. But we could potentially have somebody, if they're caring that much about the organization, could be, of an exposure type of brand of coach where you kind of work your way through. And
he was
you develop.
The assistant coach to under his dad when he had the New Orleans Hornets before Monty Williams took over.
Okay.
So he was his assistant coach. And then, of course, something I forgot was, Paul Silas, his dad, coached LeBron in Cleveland.
Paul Silas? Yeah.
The first 2 seasons, and he was the assistant coach for that team as well. And then that's really all I can find about him. Here we go. So he was a scout for the Wizards in 05 and 06. He was an assistant coach for the Hornets when they were the Bobcats, also the Warriors, the Mavericks. He was assistant coach for the Mavericks up until now.
Okay, so that's
so he's got experience with somebody like Luka, so he should be all right.
He's been around some talented players.
Yeah.
But you're always going to have that over your head, in my opinion, of your player, or you're trying to convince your player that is wanting to leave to stay or to believe in your system. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but, with that hanging over of, hey, this guy doesn't want to be here. How much do you make him a big part of your game plan?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he's always the biggest piece of the game plan. You see so much ISO ball that sometimes that's the only game plan. But if you're also thinking, hey, are we looking to trade this guy, or is this guy wanting to take the stake and sitting out as far as wanting to play?
I mean, when D'Antoni was there, what is he? He's 7 seconds or less, right? Why is Harden still dribbling around at 11 seconds?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
trying to transfer that.
And when CP3 was there, he'd be yelling at him. Like, what are you doing? He's just dribbling around. And this dude's not going to pay attention in a second. I'm going to shoot some threes.
Yeah. So, are we wanting to see more of that with just different personnel around Harden?
Yeah. I think Wall, man, if like Zach was saying, if Wall gets back to himself, because I know personally with me, like when Isla was born and was a little baby, like Zach's beautiful little daughter about her age, I used to have a hard time getting her to sleep, and I would sit upstairs and watch. That was at the time period Boston and Washington were going at it in the playoffs, and man, dude. I know, man. I really enjoyed that series. Like Isaiah Thomas when he was playing like MVP basketball with the Celtics, and Wall was. Remember when Wall hit the buzzer beater?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like game 6.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man,
it's like a Dwayne-esque type of shot.
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah, it was, man, and the Wizards, that Washington crowd loves basketball, man. They were just enamored. And it was kind of cool, man, because when Zach and I were at the game last year, we went and saw the Blazers and the Wizards. It just so many fans just showed up to a random regular season game. Like, they love basketball up there.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you've been too. I forgot. Yeah, you've been up to games there before too, D. Like, it's just a really cool place to play basketball, and Wall can steal the show and be that person on that team. So.
And I believe that's what you get a lot on the East, outside of maybe some of the more prominent teams that from historical perspective, but in the East you kind of see where the players can kind of get drafted and be whatever, as far as just coming into their own sense of how they want to play. But anytime you're talking about a Western Conference team, it's not just about obviously you winning games, it's you competing for that playoff spot. And then, that's just tough. You're looking at the Rockets as an organization, even with Harden. If this team doesn't gel, I mean, what are we looking at now? We're looking at, potentially the Pelicans making a jump into the playoffs. Obviously, Phoenix, I don't see why they wouldn't, make the playoffs, taking the spot of a OKC team, being able to, be in the playoffs for the first time in a long time, and then having that playoff experience player in CP3, and then let alone if the Timberwolves try to creep in at a number 8 spot, if it's not the Pelicans or the Grizzlies. I mean, what Ja Morant was able to do last year, just as a rookie with that
Grizzlies
team and Jaren Jackson, with them not losing anything, obviously the Portland Trailblazers were able to make the playoffs based off the bubble rules that was implemented, but you're talking about 3-4 teams right there in that cluster of an 8/ maybe 7 seed. Obviously the Rockets were above those seeds there, but you're talking those teams are right there on the verge. And if the Mavericks get better, they're going to bump the Rockets down a spot. So now the Rockets are competing, in my opinion, just to stay in the playoffs. So obviously they're wanting to be a championship caliber team with having Harden. But like I say, teams are constantly changing, as far as the better teams that are really trying to compete. In the East, you can kind of be relaxed, but you're going to get what you're going to get, like the Bulls, so to speak. But you saw what the Hawks did. The Hawks are serious. They did something like a Western Conference team would do, in my opinion. Like, you're out of the playoffs, but you got good talent. So what's the problem? Well, we don't have enough. We need depth, and we need people to play around our talent. Like, we have a base veterans. Now. We know what we got to build because we have a solid foundation. So, the Grizzlies might be a player away. They have Valanciunas, and that helps big time. But they still might be just one player shy of, okay, get that person in here. Now they're gonna set you in the right course of making playoffs. So the Rockets, to me, it's just about gelling. Like, I don't have an issue with John Wall and Cousins playing together again. I think it's just going to be fun basketball, but it's about what type of pressure are you putting on the organization, and maybe what type of pressure are you putting on your players. So, like I said, if Harden is that type of player that's influencing everything, then you have to make a decision of, is it time to move forward or give it a go again in a new system. So, it's no longer the D'Antoni way.
Straight up. I was just I got real excited when you were talking about the Grizzlies. I really like what they're doing there. And I like Ja Morant. What do you guys think with the Grizzlies? Like we know that Ja Morant is their dude. And then you got Jaren Jackson. But and then Valanciunas is there, but Valanciunas, is he like the third wheel, or is he going to like be like just their bruiser center that they have that can do some stuff? Like, who's eventually going to end up being that third wheel. I know Brandon Clark can ball. Dylan Brooks is he's a shooting guard. He's an okay shooting guard, but like what would the Grizzlies need? What do they need?
I mean, I think at this point the league is evolving center wise. I think that he could. I don't know. I mean, I think everybody's gonna have to evolve soon. The old school style, slow play. I'm not 100% sure if he can shoot threes. I haven't followed him super well. I mean, I know he can ball, but I don't know. I mean, I think that if they don't go big, then they need to at least go with I don't know, a big guy, stretch four, somewhere around there. They definitely don't need any more heat in the guard area. I think that Ja is going to be flaming everybody all year for sure. And then you got Jaren Jackson. I don't know. I mean, I think that past that, maybe you trade him for where would he go at that point? I mean, I don't know that you could move him for anything, but
Valanciunas.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I like to, combine both of y'all's ideas as far as, evolving, and then, the trade scenario of what Zach is saying.
Am I too close real fast? Am I too close? Should I back up?
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
I can't get the right thing. I'm going to figure it out, though. I think that it's going to be an up-close and personal session.
There you go. A little bit closer. Smile. I think with what Micah was emphasizing, that third scorer, and I don't see why I couldn't be Brandon Clark. I think a lot of this now depends on probably the health of Jaren Jackson. I would like to see him be able to stay on the court, and he's that guy that can make the plays, that can shoot the three. If you could stretch him out to the five, which we know he could play the five, but he needs to stay healthy enough to be able to stretch out into the five, then have Brandon Clark evolve into that third playmaker / scorer, like not just score, but make plays, because he has a good passing game, but he also just, he's a great cutter. So he's good at cutting in and scoring and finishing. But if you have him as that third playmaker with this roster, then he slides into the 4 spot. So you have Ja, Jaren, and Brandon Clark in that respective. But then you have a Dylan Brooks. If he can get better with this efficiency, now you have a JJ Redick type of player without the playoff experience, but that shooter that I'm not afraid to shoot, or even if I'm cold, I can get through this, I'm not going to hold back type of scorer. So then now you're locked in with an overall, team depth on the floor. And then if Valanciunas is too much to have off the bench, if he's, got some trade value, even if it's this year, I mean, I doubt this will happen, but if you were able to trade him in a situation, let's say theoretically it was to the Spurs for like a DeRozan type of player, okay, he might have 1 year left on his contract. But if for some reason, which I don't think the Spurs want to do this because they're pushing LaMarcus to shoot more threes, but like Zach said, Giannis can shoot the three. So for some reason, if this trade were to be able to go through where he's a solid player, he can play in the system with Greg Popovich and shoot more threes. That could open up a window for San Antonio where they have a veteran guy who would want to be there with their younger players and around them, and then have a situation, like I said, where DeRozan comes in to the Grizzlies. So now you're talking about a lineup of John Morant, Dylan Brooks, DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Clark, and hopefully a healthy Jaren Jackson. And if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at,
beast,
okay, you should be able to get out the first round of the West, depending on where you're seated. That's going to put up a fight, in my opinion.
And then, they got sorry, Zach, go ahead, buddy.
No, you're good. Just real quick, speaking on that, it's interesting you say that, because if they actually did that, and then I heard a rumor trade where they're trying to get the Blazers are trying to get LA, then the Spurs would still have their center with Valanciunas, and then the Blazers would get LA, and then the Spurs would have Zach Collins, and there was 2 other people on the pick, I think, or something like that. but that would be crazy.
So like
to me
that
would
movement would shift the whole. Like, damn.
So basically like the two stars on the Spurs we're talking about DeRozan and LA here are both going to two contending playoff teams. So DeRozan would end up on the Grizzlies for Valanciunas, and then obviously LA would end up on the Blazers for Zach Collins. Yeah, that's huge. And
I like that a lot.
That adds a lot of depth and dynamic to the Western Conference playoffs because, like we all know, the Spurs missed the playoffs last year. So,
and the Spurs, that would give them a chance to build. They would really be able
which
to
I
build.
think they're at that point now anyway. I mean,
they are, and Greg is excellent at doing that if he chooses to stay a few more years.
Yeah, and honestly, Valanciunas could go there and play and still put up his numbers and get paid, and he could be a great at that point mentor for Jacob I can't say Plettel. He can ball, man. He's a good player. So, that would be really awesome for them to do that.
That would be crazy. I like it.
I think that would be a win across the board for a 3-team trade, or not necessarily a 3-team trade, but 2 separate trades for the Spurs where all 3 of those teams could benefit definitely. And like I said, with the Blazers already being a playoff team and with the Grizzlies being a borderline playoff team as of last year, both
that West is going to be.
Yeah.
So anybody slips up in the West, you're out of the playoffs. I mean, that's the reality of the whole thing. It doesn't matter. You have an injury, you're out. There's nothing crazy. Stack.
So doing all of these, theoretically, that would put us back to full circle with the Rockets. And in that scenario, I don't see the Rockets making the playoffs if Harden gets traded.
Nah.
Or if he does get traded, I see them, dropping back to, to the lower seeding of the West. And definitely if they do this play-in format again, where, it's a competition for the 7th and 8th seeds, that's going to be definitely interesting.
Is that going to be, was that talked about it being something permanent?
It was talked about them potentially doing that again this year.
Really?
As far as what I saw, I'm not sure if it is made up yet or not. I know they haven't released the second half of the NBA season, so I'm not sure if that's something that could be still in debate as far as when they release a playoff schedule.
Man.
But yeah, I mean, apparently that went well last year, even though the results, ended with the Blazers sneaking in and Grizzlies getting knocked out. But, it's supposed to be a battle for the –
complain about that one.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a battle for the 7th and 8th if it's close enough, which, that makes sense, and obviously that can happen in the East as well. But like we said, we get that gap in the East where that gap in the West doesn't occur until you hit like 13th seed, like the last 3 seeds, 13, 14, 15. They're never usually that close, but everybody else is. But in the East, there could be a huge gap from 6th place to 7th by a handful of wins. So
that's crazy.
So just real quick, guys, from what we've talked about, we've thrown out a couple of teams, man. We talked about the Rockets just now. We've talked about the Blazers just a little bit. And we pretty much broke down the Grizzlies and how we think they can get better by, taking advantage of the one team in the West that has 2 superstars that, it's just not going to be a playoff team yet. The young talent, there's no offense to the young talent in San Antonio or Popovich, but the young talent is awesome. They're just not there yet. But looking at that, so let's look at the West real quick and 6, 7. Well, let's do 7 and 8. Derek, what team do you think is going to be the 8th seed, and what team do you think will be the 7th seed?
So we're looking at things as they stand now, as far as
just
roster
speculation now. What do you think?
So I'm trying to think. I think Dallas ended up in the 7th, so I definitely put them higher. I'll probably put them at a borderline 4 or 5 seed. You know, I want to say the Grizzlies, but like I said, the health of Jaren Jackson is a concern of mine as far as, you know, when he gets on the court and how much he'll play. But yeah, with health being a factor for other teams, I'd probably say that I don't see the reason why Phoenix can't be in there. And to be honest, I don't see why Phoenix might not be a 6th seed, but I definitely put them in one of those seeds. You know, if you know, maybe 7th, if they just kind of creep in there. But I feel like they could probably finish 6th seed. And then just throwing out the 8th seed, I guess it could possibly be, you know, for me, I want to say one of the younger teams with the Pelicans or the Grizzlies. The Blazers were 8th last year. So, I mean, I could see them in the middle again, you know, back to how they used to be, you know, maybe them as a potential 6th seed as well. So you got a lot of fights. I think definitely that what team did I just say? I'm sorry.
The Blazers.
The 7th seed. Before
7th
that.
seed, it sounded like you were zoning in on the Suns.
Yeah, the Suns. Yeah, I definitely see them as one of those teams that get in there. You know, based off last year's standings, you know, I would put them, you know, like in a 7th spot right now. But like I said, I think they could possibly creep up to like a 6th spot. But I definitely see them as a steal to get in, that a team that's replacing a team. Like I said, you know, the OKC I think ended up in a 6th seed or last year. So, you know, definitely taking over one of those spots. So they could probably be 7th. And, you know, I'm so interested in just the dynamic of what David Griffin did with the Pelicans that I could say they might steal that 8th seed spot.
Yeah, they could. They definitely could.
That, you know, this is me assuming that at this time that the Rockets don't work out or they trade James Harden in the middle of the season, in some aspect where they have less chances of making the playoffs as they did before. So I see them not making the playoffs, and then, like I said, one of those other teams sneaking in and taking their spot. So definitely Phoenix taking OKC spot, and then, like I said, possibly for me the Pelicans, just because again, if health is there and Zion is better conditioned, and with Drew Holiday not being there, Lonzo Ball has, you know, worked on his shot over the last couple seasons, especially last year. But his playmaking ability, I think we'll see the true Lonzo Ball this year, where, you know, where the Lakers drafted him at number 2. This is probably going to be the reason why, is his floor ability to his awareness on offense and defense, but to be able to open up the floor, hopefully a little bit with his 3-point shooting, but also to find the open man and so those nasty lob passes we hope to see this year. So I could see them sneaking in the 8th spot.
All right, Zach, what do you think, man? You're 7 in the West. You're 7th seed and you're 8th seed.
Man, the West is going to be a fight. I mean, if we're talking about the playing style especially, you could have the whole West from 5th to 14th. We'll say. You know, all pretty much same. I mean, it all would go off the record at that point, right? Like for the who would be battling it out. You could have like 10 teams. Well, I guess it would depend on, because it would only be whoever would be in the. I don't know. I guess if everybody was that even, but we'll call the Blazers at 7. Just because, you know, I'm gonna dive into my feels a little bit there, but I don't see them moving up really much. They didn't add anything. I mean, when Collins comes back, they have a little bit more firepower, but that really, you know, in my opinion, it all depends on Nurkic, because it's a big league, and if you don't have a big stepping up and really dominating most of the game, you're not gonna make it far. And then that 8th seed, man, that's like, I'd like to see young talent. I like Memphis. I don't know. Do I have to pick I guess I'll have to pick one. We'll go with We'll go with the Pelicans at 8. I agree with Derek. I think that, they're going to be – but like I mean, that's the crazy thing is the West is so stacked because where's Golden State going to be? Obviously, I guess you have to put LA at 1. And then, I mean, the Clippers are still a powerhouse. But past that, I mean,
Yeah, it's confusing. You really
everybody's like, is Golden State going to come back and be somebody that you're like, I mean, you can't touch them because Curry's fucking dropping 100 point. I mean, not really, obviously, but what if comes out and he's dropping 35 a game every single game?
Yeah, we get MVP Curry back for a season. They'll be in the playoffs and they won't be lower than the 4 seed. Yeah, it's not.
Because you got Wiseman there now. You still got Draymond. I mean, so then that messes all that stuff up. So
Kelly Oubre,
especially there too,
Wiggins,
and Oubre.
But yeah, that's another breakdown. Yeah, that's crazy, man. The Warriors are a team, man, that it's going to be interesting.
It's a wild card for sure.
Yeah,
and then if they do that, then that whole Rockets situation we were talking about, I mean, that's even a bigger of a difference because even if they do keep Harden, if they don't gel, I mean, they're out of the playoffs. I mean, that's the reality of it. Yeah. You're not going to be able to slip up. I mean, Memphis might come out and be the number 4 seed. You never know. I mean,
you don't know. You don't know. I mean, the only thing that's guaranteed is that the Lakers will be in the 1 or the 2. Period.
I would say that's for sure. I mean, no farther than the 3, just if something happened for who knows what will happen.
They would have to have a drastic injury for that,
Yeah, but I understand. Either way, they're top 3, no matter what. But
I think
past that, man.
I think for me, like with the 7th and 8th seed, is a little. I don't know about Dallas, like because
that's another one.
They really balled out with the Clippers, but I saw a lot of teams get better in free agency. I'm not saying Dallas didn't. Dallas did pick up some dudes, man, that can really, really play. They got Josh Richardson, who's a great 3-and-D dude. Re-Stein, Cauley Stein, who's going to get a lot of minutes, with Porzingis hurt. But, it depends on Porzingis. Like, Porzingis is the other guy. Like, he's the Anthony Davis of this duo. Like, so it depends on what he does. But with Luka and what they have right now, I mean, they're my 7. Because I just don't trust Porzingis. I just don't. I don't. I think he just is so injury prone. It's just he's one of the most injury prone players I've ever seen. Like that's just how I feel. Now, if Porzingis is not injury prone, then trash this. I think they're higher in the Western Conference. Maybe it's 6, like Derek was saying, or maybe even a 5 seed, which I would really, really love a Utah-Dallas series. I think that would be freaking amazing. But they're my 7. I'm rating it. I'll let y'all know. Y'all know I'm a Suns fan. I'm putting the Suns at 6. But at 8, as much as I really, really like New Orleans' team, I feel like there's just something that's not there that they need to put them in that 8 seed, and I think Memphis will get it. I think Memphis is just a heck of a team. But yeah, that's the way I feel about it. But yeah, I mean it's so up in the air. Like
even with Adams though.
Adams is a huge pickup.
Adams on the Pels. I mean,
and then they could develop. Bledsoe might end up becoming a 6-man for them off the bench. Or he, you never know with Lonzo. Lonzo can get hurt too. You got Bledsoe there in case Lonzo gets hurt. Bledsoe can be hurt. It's just a, thing. And I don't really know how long JJ Redick will be there. Like if things don't, he's just got so many places where people could use him. He's such a locker room guy, and he's such a huge pivotal player to have on your team. Like
consistent.
Just imagine, like if you have him on your team and you're in the finals and you need buckets, he's going to get it. like it's just what's going to happen. He's going to nail threes. So he could be a big trade candidate, at some point in time. There's just a lot to look at with the Pelicans. Now, Brandon Ingram is nice, and he's going to be an all-star again, and he's going to be bad. And I look forward to watching him ball. But that's my two, man. I got Dallas at 7. I got Memphis at 8.
I like that pick.
But, we talked about Memphis, Dallas. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to. What were you saying?
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, just to round out this part of the talk here, the chat is I feel like the Timberwolves for me on the West is probably, for me, the most disappointing offseason out of the Western Conference teams.
That would be
– not that they needed to add a lot. I just thought they could have utilized that number 2 pick in their advantage more so to make a trade. Like, I feel like they're going to be sitting same positions they have been.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the playoffs. And it's not because they're a bad team. They're just not good enough in the West.
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, man, we should definitely hold that one, man. I could talk about the Timberwolves like that for a minute. Like, I could talk about that for a minute. So
let's pick that up on the next one.
Yeah, we'll throw that for. That's a good one, man. I'm glad you.
Also want to, if we could talk about Brandon Ingram some more in the next one.
Yeah.
Just as a preview, I see Kobe, reminiscence of Kobe with Brandon Ingram on the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And reminiscence of Kobe on the Eastern Conference with Jason Tatum. So for me, I'm looking at those two guys, obviously both coming out of Duke, but with the way they're playing, I think it's, one's on the East, one's on the West, but slightly different versions, but still of that Kobe type of game. So.
All right. Well, that's us rounding out that segment there of some of what we're seeing this season, speculations. What some of the rosters, we got to dive into some cool stuff like John Wall and the Grizzlies and where we thought the West might end up there. But now it's time for, the classic player versus the current player. So I'll go ahead and let Zach, man, throw me out your current player.
What position are we going?
Whatever. Shoot it. Your player is going to determine the position.
I'm going to pick a interesting one. I mean, what the hell? We were talking about Ingram, so we'll go with Ingram.
All right, Brandon Ingram. I was thinking the same thing. So you're looking at small forward, shooting guard. Derek, dig into the past, man. Who you want to put him up against?
Who do I want to put up against? That's tough because I just, compared him to Kobe and somewhat, but I don't know if we want to dive into that.
That might be a little intense.
That's going to be intense because that's a lot of shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, how far do we want to go back here? He just reminds me. I mean, he just reminds me such of a 2000 style type of, the game comes easy to him. Let's put him up against. Let's put him up against Tracey Mcgrady, Micah.
I like that.
Okay, so
we're talking Kobe, so that's a good yes. I like that a lot.
Are we going Magic, Tracey Mcgrady, or Rockets? Or around
because Ingram's still young, and in comparison, to be honest, this is his second team. Not sure if he's going to go to a third team, but let's put him against the Magic because that was Tracey's second team. Going from Toronto to the Magic. So.
That's tough, man.
Let's do that one.
Let's look at that, man. All right,
I like that a lot. That's a good one.
All right, so the strength of Brandon Ingram. So Brandon Ingram, man, he's got a nice mid-range game. He can get to the basket. He's got that length, that Kevin Durant type length. He can handle the rock. he can play defense, but his new game scoring and the way that he scores the basketball could pose a threat to McGrady. But McGrady can play some defense, man. He was an old school player, man. And at that time period, he was with the Magic. Like, he could score. Like, he was fun to watch, man. I think McGrady's got him. I'm going old. I'm going classic on that one. So I'm going classic. Where you at, Zach?
I gotta second that one for sure. I mean, especially just the fact that I'm always in the mindset that if you put two people up together, 1-on-1, the defense is gonna win the game, no matter what. I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, even if Jordan wins a 1-on-1, it's gonna be his defense. He's gonna shut you down, just like Kobe would.
Yeah.
I mean, T-Mac and Kobe always went at it, and Kobe said, I mean, he's like, talked about how tough he was, like defensively and offensively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going classic on that one.
Where you at, D?
I definitely agree with y'all. I like to go classic just for argumentative sake. You know, I'll say Brandon Ingram in a way. As far as if we're looking at this, I don't know. I can't remember all the facts, but I know when T-Mac, came to Orlando, I think they still had Penny Hardaway. I was a big fan of him, and he was hurt. So, in the same situation of Ingram being in the Pelicans, but Zion was hurt, the guy that they chose number one. Of course, they didn't know exactly how his game was in the NBA level. Well, they were going off of, assumptions and scouting reports and whatnot. But, with Penny Hardaway already being an NBA player and, all-star level type of player, T-Mac came in, was supposed to play alongside with him. So I think if you put Brandon Ingram in this type of situation for a period of time, because this is Brandon Ingram's first year in New Orleans, first year with Zion, made an all-star after not having any selections beforehand, that he's on that path to, if this was the scenario where they're a team, he's a team on the team in the East, it was the Charlotte Hornets, and he was going year to year to year without another big name player beside him, that he would be on that path of, I can score 30, I can score 32. I'm going to average at least 28 points per game. And I think his defense would pick up because he's got that length. And with that length comes strength. If you look at T-Mac when he was with the Raptors, and then when he got to the Magic, and then I know that's where we're comparing him, but then when he got to Houston, that strength increased, as it should when you come into the league. So you're talking Ingram 3 years into the league, third year, making all-star, gaining a little bit more confidence, gaining a little bit more strength, being on the team, being a go-to guy that, okay, you kept putting him in that situation, that eventually he'd get there to that level of T-Mac or slightly better and maybe statistical category as far as percentages. But, I mean, overall, I think T-Mac does have the upper leg, but Brandon Ingram would be right there on that path, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I think I don't think it was Penny Hardaway. I think it was Grant Hill.
I like that argument a lot.
Grant Hill, yes.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, because Penny, they traded him to make room to sign.
My bad. You're right.
Sign McGrady, because originally they were wanting to put Grant Hill with Penny Hardaway, and then he had some injury issues. And
like I said, I think Grant Hill had previously been an all-star.
Grant Hill was not only was he previously an all-star, but he was like an MVP caliber player.
He was the one they considered to be another version of Michael Jordan. So.
Yeah, and before he had that drastic injury, which would be another thing. I'm a huge Grant Hill fan, so like it would be another thing to talk about. Putting him up against somebody, but yeah.
So those scenarios of, they traded for an all-star type of player to have that weight there of that person's name, and then T-Mac comes in and wanting to or having to play alongside of that guy, but he's out. So then you have that, okay, why couldn't I have been that guy everybody was talking about, that extra motivation? So I think that's what happened with Ingram as well. Okay, I get traded from the Lakers, like, okay, I was a high pick, I know I can play. You drafted Zion number one, obviously you had the number one pick, you wanted to use it well for once in a lifetime opportunity, but let me show you, hey, I can also be that guy that, hey, you traded for me for a reason, and I'm that quality of a player. Like, you haven't seen me ball out yet. So that's what he did last year. I got the opportunity. I'm gonna show you. You let me do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That was a good matchup, man. But yeah, like McGrady is still, boss over that one. But yeah, so to close things out tonight, I want to shout out to Zach. You have anything you want to tell people before you hop off here? Anything top of your head, whatever you want to say, man.
This was enjoyable. I mean, that's kind of it. I don't really have a lot of things stacked up on my brain right now, but look forward to chatting about basketball again.
Awesome. Derek, it's been a blast, man. Having you and Zach on here, and we enjoyed your commentary as well. You have anything that you want to shoot out there and say?
I just like to say I appreciate the opportunity. Hopefully we can do this here pretty soon, especially as the NBA season gets rolling on. Yeah, I love you guys. This was awesome to experience doing this, and how fluid this was as far as us conversating and generating topics kind of off head for first time. So I think we got some things we can build consistency with, and I definitely look forward to more sessions of this. So
awesome. All right, well, everybody, before we hop off here, I just want to throw a couple shouts out. I want everybody, continue to check out Tavern Geek on Facebook, trying to get some things going there in geek culture, where we talk about, superheroes and Star Wars and all the crazy geek stuff, but also it's also about sports. And that's why, I love sports. I grew up with sports, and we're here talking about my favorite sport, which is basketball and the NBA. Also, like, you guys are into craft beer. I want you guys to check out Hops News on Facebook or YouTube or podcasts, any Spotify, wherever. Really, really good group of people talking about the craft beer industry and what it's doing for the communities of its community area and in the country. Also, give a shout out right now to Olive and Rose Hemp Works out of Clifton Forge, Virginia. Wonderful CBD products, wonderful things. I would say that during this time of the year, I mostly suffer from some dry skin problems in my hands, and then Derek and Zach, we work in an area where that can be, weathered hands can be an issue, and the CBD ointment that my friend Walter makes there at Olive and Rose is super healing, and has been super awesome for me so far. But I just want to give a big shout out to them tonight as well. So everybody out there, thank you for tuning in to the first edition of Tavern Talk NBA. We hope to continue this, and we got a whole lot more to talk about. And everybody have a good night.
I got a quick shout out to our buddy, our pal Byron.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if
Twitch,
y'all are
man.
into the definitely, if y'all are into the gaming, he's in the process of moving at the moment, but in January he'll definitely pick up his streaming, but he still streams occasionally, I think at least twice a week at the moment. But it's Your Bud 36. You can catch him on Twitch or YouTube. Sometimes I participate in gaming with him on Saturday nights. If you see me in there, I'm Purple Hulk 0713. But yeah, shout out to Byron. So our Bud B.
Yeah, maybe we'll have Byron on here one evening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for
all right,
sure.
Everybody, for coming to Tavern Talk, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. If we don't shoot another show out before then, and enjoy the beginning of the NBA season. Everybody have a good one, and thank you.
Peace.
Peace.